So a list is a very broad group of subscribers. And those subscribers may have different interests and they may have different preferences. And you can divide those up by using what we call groups and grouping them. That way you don't need to have multiple lists for each group, but you can have multiple groups within one list. And to go further than that, you can also segment your lists. And that will actually take similar qualities such as location, engagement, activity, and allow you to search through your list based on those things. So let's go ahead and take a look how that works. Click here on the list you want to work on and click Manage Contacts. And you'll see here you can actually set up groups. So go ahead and do that. And you can actually go ahead and create a group. Now, one thing to remember is when you're setting up your sign up forms, okay, you'll be able to actually add groups to that sign up form so that subscribers can just select what their preferences are and they can automatically be grouped as they sign up for your campaign or for your emails. Okay. Another way you can do it is to actually go up here. Let's create the groups. And then let's create groups right here just as an example. So it says, how should we show group options on your sign up form? See, and you could do it as checkboxes, as radio buttons, and as drop down, and also don't show these groups on my sign up form. So generally, checkboxes are going to be better for a situation where you want them to be able to join multiple groups. If you want them to make a decision on only one group that they're going to be part of, then radio buttons would be better. And that's the reason those are uh, different. And then if you want to have many, many different options for them, but they can only select one, then a drop down may be useful. Okay, so let's select group category. Okay, so for example, interests they have here, and then they have donating, volunteering, and events. So let's just go with that. That's just fine. So different interests that they can have. One is donating, the other is volunteering, and the other is events. Okay? And then you could add another group and another group, or you could delete groups as you choose. So let's go ahead and save. So now it says done. Your new groups have been added to your list. And then you could go import to these groups. So in order to do that, you could actually import a list. Okay? But you don't need to do that. Also, when you're designing, the best way to do this, remember, is when you're designing your actual forms, is to allow them to choose which group they're going to be put into automatically. Okay, and that allows you to keep a lot better, um, a lot better control over your groups. Now, if you go to groups here, you click on it. See, I show it, or you can hide it. So view, and you can actually see how many people are in each specific group from this particular list. Okay, and this is just people from this one list that we were adding, which is Joe's Cupcakes newsletter. Okay, so I know it doesn't really make sense saying, this is Joe's Cupcakes newsletters, and then when we get into the actual groups, it's talking about donations. But the reason I'm doing this is just to show that you can divide things. For example, you could be like, what are their interests? Like chocolate cupcakes, vanilla cupcakes, or like strawberry cupcakes. It doesn't have to be donating. I just thought that MailChimp included a nice example with that. Another thing you can do also is segments. And segments allow you to target specific contacts in your list and save them in a segment to reuse later. So what that is, right now we don't have any, so let's create one. So any contacts, for example, that match any or all of the following conditions. And I believe you can set up to 5 conditions. Let's see. Maybe they've changed it. Yep, see, so 5 conditions is the max that you're able to set up. So let's just set up one condition for this segment. So any of the following conditions, or all. So if you have 3 of them and you select all 3 of these conditions that you set up would have to be met. But if you set any, then any one of these conditions could make them qualify to be in that segment. Okay? And this is good when you're dealing with geographic location, engagement, and different activities. So, for example, let's say that their information has changed or they've been added recently. So the date added is before, and let's say the specific date is going to be, um, or actually, let's say it's after, and the specific date was the beginning of this month, let's say. Okay? So that means that this person has been added after March 1st, 2018, meaning they're very new to the list. Okay, so we're looking just for people who have just been added. And then preview segment, and it's going to show, oh, look, all three of these people have been added. And that's because we just recently added them. Okay, and then when you feel like everything is good, what you can do is save as segment. You can edit, or you can also send an email campaign just to the segment pretty much instantly. So let's save it as a segment, and we'll call it newly or recently added. Go ahead and save. And now we're going to have a segment in here. So go back to our lists, okay? Click right here, go to Manage Contacts, and then click on Segments, and you're going to see we have added this recently added segment. Now what you can do is send an email, a regular campaign, an A/B testing campaign, a plain text campaign, and you can send those right now. Okay, now let's talk about A/B testing for a minute. So what A/B testing is let's say you're sending out an email and you just wonder if maybe you could be getting a better response if there was a different picture or some different writing. Now the main thing to remember is there's two things to consider when you're sending out an A/B test, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to send out one email to a group of people. Let's say you divide it in half. Let's say you have 1,000 subscribers. You're going to send one email to 500 people, and you're going to send another email with the change, or what we call the variable, to the other 500 in your group. It's not going to work if you change more than one thing. Everything needs to remain fixed except for one variable. If you change more than one variable, then there's no way to know exactly which variable caused any difference in amount of click-throughs or button clicks or anything like that. So always remember, it takes patience, but always only have one variable when you do A/B testing, okay? Now, when you're setting up A/B testing, you can actually go through a lot of different things here. You can select a segment. You can, for example, we have this recently added segment, and they're also going to give you some pre-built segments like new subscribers, active subscribers, inactive subscribers, etc. And you'll be able to actually determine which one you want to use. We're going to just use this recently added one. Okay, go ahead and go next. And then what would you like to test? Subject line, from name, content, send time. So as you can see, you can really play with it a lot. And notice here what percentage of your recipients should receive your test combinations. And you can change that. I would just leave it at 50. Okay? And then you can have a test segment and then a winning segment, and it'll show your total. Well, it says they recommend at least 5,000 recipients per combination. And so that's why A/B testing really is a lot more useful when you have a large number, because there's going to be variances. And if you have a small list of like 5 people, 20 people, 100 people, your confidence interval is going to be, it's just not going to be accurate, because the larger the list becomes, the more confidence you can say that, okay, this change actually delivered a different result. So A/B testing is really going to be useful for when you actually have a larger list. So let's just say we want to do it by send time. Okay, so you can set up your different combinations. Go next. And you can actually set up your A/B test here. Okay, and there's so many different combinations you can do that it could take it could take hours and hours to go through this. But the general idea is that you're testing two different emails and to see which one is more effective and to not have too many combinations. Because if you do, it's really hard to know which one's working. Now, the only time that multiple combinations may work is if you have a very, very big list and you're going to actually send out like 3 different tests at once. But remember, even if you do that, you can only have one variable that is being changed. For example, if you have 3 different pictures and you're going to change a picture for A, B, and C, for example, the 3 different combinations that you're trying. But if you're changing other things in there, it's just not going to work. So that's how A/B testing works, and that's a little bit more information on groups and segments.